Yes. Yes, there's a hadith of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam in which he said that the angels will not enter into a house in which there is images or dogs. This hadith is authentic and it is something that we have iman in and we believe it. So if anyone has imagery in his home, photography, photographic images, and they keep them in their houses, then in that house we believe that the angels will not enter. And we believe that with an iman that is certain. And we believe, because some Muslims now, in imitation of the kuffar, that they have taken dogs as pets. And they allow dogs into their houses, and into their living rooms, and into their kitchens, and so on. Then likewise the angels will not enter into such a house. Meaning that your protection is removed. And therefore your houses are prone to the shayateen and their entry. And that your children and your family members are prone for being prey to the shayateen. And they are no longer, or that their protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala diminishes or reduces. So be wary. So if in your house you have pictures that are other than necessities, or other than that which is needed, such as for example passport photographs that you may need for the renewal of your passport, or even on your passport or on your driving license identification, then that is something that you have no choice regarding. If you have photography or photographs of, for example, your graduation and you have it up on a wall, or you have images of film stars, then they will be your bane. They will be your destruction. Because it is this imagery that is displayed and venerated that caused the first group of people to go astray. Because they started worshipping that which they were hanging and erecting as images and statues of the dead. So you see, we are living in an era of media where everything is imagery and photography. Of course, sometimes even when you buy a cereal box, you buy some Kellogg's Rice Krispies or cornflakes, and on the front and back there's imagery. They have photographs of women and men and so on. How does one prevent and how does one keep oneself safe from this type of thing? فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Fear Allah as much as you are able and be dutiful to Him. So you should keep a marker. You should keep a marker. I remind myself and yourselves, keep a marker in your kitchen, on them board markers. And when these products come in, give the children a task. Kids love colouring. So instead of doing it on the sofa and wherever else they do it that angers you, say, here's free reign. Take the cornflakes and mark out the face. You may have a magazine in your house. On the front cover, maybe it's the presenter of the magazine. Take a marker and rub out his face. Once you've finished with it, get rid of it, throw it away. Of course, you have now books for children, illustrated. This is an elephant, this is a donkey, this is a monkey, this is the Serengeti, this is a leopard chasing a gazelle at 96 miles an hour. The children become educated by this. Is this haram? No, this is not haram. Shaykh al-Albani and others have mentioned. Why? Because this is from the bab of tadris and ta'aleem. From the aspect of teaching. This is allowed. But keep the book closed and keep it in its place. Keep it closed, keep it in its place. This is not for veneration, of course. This is for education. That is allowed. Like Aisha radiallahu anha, that she had dolls. Alright, she had a horse with wings. It was a little horse, like a doll. I don't know what you call it. What is it, like a stuffed animal like this? She had one. And it had wings. So the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, what is this? She said, that is the horse of Sulaiman. He said, a horse with wings? A horse has wings? So it's a horse. He recognized it to be a horse. And this is by way of nurturing our children, and daughters especially. Don't, deny your daughters a doll. These days you wouldn't be the Barbie equivalent. Because that's just, representation of Hollywood and all of this kind of garbage. And that just, indoctrinates them into sin. because Barbie has a boyfriend, right? And all this kind of stuff. So this is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about things probably like a Cabbage Patch doll, if they still have them. Right? Which is basically cloth stuffed with whatever. And, it's just like a twisted face with a, whatever. And this is something that is allowed, barakallahu feekum. Why? Because they are loose representations for children. If you're 42 and you're still collecting dolls, you need help. All right? And if you're a man, you need even more help. All right? But try to get this imagery out of your house. As for taking pictures on your cameras and so on, haram. Fear Allah. As for these avatars that people have on their Twitter accounts, and you see, Jazakallah khair, brother, for this benefit, and you're about to say, wa barakallah, and then you see image. They put their photograph on there, and they're smiling with their bright sunglasses on. Why? For what purpose? Haram. This is haram. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Ashaddu adab, the most severe punishment on Yawm al-Qiyamah is for the musawwirun, for the image makers. You know what Sheikh Fawzan said? Sheikh Fawzan was asked the question, Ya Sheikh, is it permissible for a person who suspects his wife that he puts a camera there so that if she does enter, because he suspects her greatly, so he says, is it all right that if he takes a picture of her in the act so that he can take it to the judge and get her prosecuted, meaning in an act of a rendezvous with another man? He said, haram. He said, number one is inadmissible evidence. Number two, photography is haram. We don't do things like that. And we don't, anyway, la tajassasu. Sometimes a brother may say, well, is it allowed to be a PI, a private investigator? Not to spy on people who are trying to hide their sins. Because if you think about what a PI does, a private investigator, he investigates into those affairs that the people are trying to hide. And if it is sins that they are trying to hide, then we don't go out and, I took a photo of him committing that sin, or I took a photo of him in his house whilst he was drinking wine. No, hide his sins. The sins, the asl of a person who commits a sin and tries to hide it is that we help him to hide it. And then we advise him to one side, and we don't spread the fact that he has committed a sin. So keep your houses free from all of these things. And a reminder to myself, because sometimes you bring a newspaper home and you say, there's an article that you want to read, especially in the line of business that we're in da'wah. There's an article being written or a magazine in which there's a cover article upon something that's happened in Syria or Iraq or somewhere, Time magazine. And of course it's full of images. It's hard, subhanAllah. How do you do it now? At the very least, close it when you finish with it, put it somewhere where it cannot be seen, and when you finish with it, get rid of it. And at least on the front cover, wipe it out. Yeah, get a marker or something, get the kids on it, give them a task. Barakallahu feekum. Naam, akhi. For what purpose? Photography without... Okay, for example, you're walking with the children, and you tell the children, walk ahead. Because you want to measure, you see, this one is my big one, this is my small child, this is my daughter, and you see that triangle effect as they're walking next to each other. So you'd tell them walk ahead, and then you take a photograph from behind so you don't catch anything of their faces whatsoever. La bas, no problem, inshallah. Inshallah, no problem. There's no need to be overtly strict about things like that. No problem. All right? But again, but as for the face, when they turn around and you see the full face, then keep away. Keep away from that. Avoid that. Barakallahu feekum. The only time that is allowed, of course, if there's an overarching benefit. Like some of the scholars, they say Ibn Uthaymeen and Sheikh Ibn Baz and so on. If there's a criminal on the run, and the people need to be aware of him, that he's such and such a criminal, so they put his photograph, for example, in the newspaper, if anyone has seen him because he's assassinated or he's murdered or he's raped, then, some of the ulama, they allow that. Why? Because there's an overarching benefit. Likewise, the rules of Ahl al-Ilm, like Sheikh Abdul bin Baz, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, they allowed the broadcasting of their durus. Even though bin Baz, rahimahullah, that, in some of his things, he said that maybe it's safer even not to involve themselves. One should not involve himself in that out of fear of falling into the threat of Allah's punishment. So some of the scholars, they allowed it. Sheikh Al-Albani allowed it, the broadcasting, for benefit of durus that are videoed. La ba's bihi. But this is complete. You can see the complete contradiction between this and between what the people are doing. Here's me he's making tawaf, he's supposed to be making dhikr, and he's got a stick at the end of, he's got a stick, and on the end of the stick he's got his camera, he's bumping into people, hitting people's heads, his elbows up there. Man should be making dhikr and he's there taking selfies. Right? And women even worse. Because the man, of course, the man is not awrah. The awrah of the man is what? Between navel and the knees. What's the woman? The awrah of the woman is all of the woman. All of the woman is awrah. So some of our sisters, then, they've become weak in this regard. Why do you wish to become weak? If you get married, show your beauty to your husband. You don't have to show it to me. I don't need to see you. I don't need to see, your following us on Twitter or wherever you're following, on the Maktaba Salafiyya or Abu Hakim or Abu Khadeejah or Abu Idris, Abu Iyad. Why do you need to put your avatar there, Jazakallah for the benefit, and all we see is your photograph? Why? Sometimes you see a woman in full niqab with big black glasses on. Why? What's the fa'idah? Put a palm tree there or something. Put the moon there. Put the sun there. Why do you need to put your photograph there? Or the shape of your body, how big you are, how small you are. Who cares? That's for your husband, not for us. We are not interested. Barakallahu feekum. We have wives. We don't need any more. And especially we don't need wives on Twitter. No, we don't need this type of... And this type of, cavorting with the opposite sex is haram anyway. Keep away from that. How did you meet your wife? I met her on Twitter, akhi, direct messaging. Very romantic. Come on, ya ikhwan. Keep away from this. Social meeting people through Facebook and social media and marrying them. Met them in a chat room. We're supposed to have more honor than this. We walk with our heads high. We give women honor. This is not how you meet people. This is not the meeting points between men and women. All right? Be in a community of Salafis. Be amongst Ahlus Sunnah. If you are righteous and pious, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open up avenues for you that you can never imagine. Never imagine. And you find brothers say, oh subhanallah, I found my wife. Wallahi, akhi, I was just sitting in the masjid. The brother said, I have a daughter, you want to marry her? And he said, Wallah, I've been married to her 6, 7, 8 years. Oh, Wallahi, we love each other. She loves me. I love her. Easy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened up the avenues. Others hard. More difficult. But you have to be patient. Don't use these types of avenues. Sister, will you marry me? How did you know I'm unmarried? Because I saw your avatar. And you can't be married doing that on Twitter. Of course, that's what you think, right? Why would a woman uncover herself and display herself on Twitter and be married? You assume that she's not married. But don't do it, my brothers and sisters. Keep away from imagery, photography, and these affairs. Keep away from them. Barakallahu feekum. Naam akhi.